everyone, I hope you're doing well. Today I want to paint some mushrooms, and in particular those very kind of unique mushrooms. If you saw them, you probably wouldn't think that they're mushrooms. They kind of grow in these clusters of thin legs, and at the end, instead of the mushroom cap, it's just like an oval tip. I'll show you an example. This book, by the way, Knowledge Encyclopaedia, Plants and Fungi by DK, I have ordered when I was filming my cozy watercolor mushroom class, and I'll link it up for you somewhere there. It's available on Teachable. But coming back to the book, I have recommended this as one of the books in the course. It's really fun to learn about things, and it's a book that just recently has been published. So there's a couple of books that I'm recommending, and this is one of them. So here is a picture that is disgusting and beautiful at the same time. It's basically a type of fungi that makes these insects become like zombies, and then it spores out of them. But besides that point, if you just look at the actual mushroom here, I find it so fascinating and beautiful. It almost looks like a berry, and the colors, which are very peachy, going into more like a pastel peach, into more rosier peachy peach, and then into darker color. So I do like the shape of them. And similarly to that, there's also this caterpillar fungus, which is also has a similar structure of kind of, they're like, I don't know, what would you call them? Like upside down baby cherries. So the top, where usually the cap would be, it's slightly larger, but it's not a typical cap. And then it's more of a stick, and it could be straight or slightly curved. So that's what I am feeling quite inspired by. I haven't yet done a full review, which I'm planning to do next, but just to kind of give you a quick understanding of this book, if you really like looking into things, and if you really like understanding how things work, this book is fantastic. So currently I'm flipping through the fungi section, so the Kingdom of Fungi. It really explains to you in the most detailed way how things are. And what's particularly interesting about this book is that it has a mixture of real photographs and digital images, because you just would not be able to take a photograph of slicing the soil part and showing you exactly how the root system is. But designing these images digitally, they are able to show us in a really closed up way, nicely zoomed in, what things look like that we are not aware of. And it's super educational. It's a beautiful big book. As you can see, it's not going into into the frame, but I love sitting down with my son and just going through some pages. Now the kingdom of the mushrooms is not that big as a part, but it has everything you need to know pretty much. So it starts here, just to show you. And that's the part on mushrooms, and the rest is on plants. And it's kind of like explaining you the ecosystem, the importance of pollinators, and again, it took a picture which looks like maybe partially it's real, or maybe it's all of it is digital. It's sometimes actually very hard to tell because of how detailed it is. But then they, for example, cut off one part of the plant and then show you inside digitally, because that's something you would not be able to do in real life. You would disturb the insects that'd be running everywhere, but this way it's all good. And then yeah, it's just very educational, and it's great for children, as well as if you are just yourself quite sort of nerdy and would love to know. For example, figs. I didn't know that they have these little bugs here. Goes inside and they do something. I haven't read about it. I know that that's the next thing I want to read about, what's going on with the figs, because I do like eating them. I just don't want any bugs in there. Okay, so that's the book for you. Like I said, that's coming next, and really beautiful visuals. So today I want to just elaborate on those mushrooms that I just showed you. So I'm going to start by just doing a little bit of drawing. I'm just checking that my pen doesn't leak, because the last few times, don't know why, it had a lot of leakage. So we'll start by drawing, and then later on I'll be adding color to things. Now this is going to be not a botanical representation, but more being inspired by the shapes. There were certain shapes that I could take from there. Kind of like corals almost. Some of those mushrooms have a coral-like way of growing. And let's see, if I make this a bit more straighter, what will happen? Looks like alien hands, doesn't it? Oh god. Right, and then I'm going to just maybe do some individual ones as well. So I'm thinking about the shapes that I saw and trying to just play on that. So I'm going to now create a bigger one of those that I liked. And kind of zoom into it, like on some of those photographs where you could actually see the detail and everything, and see what happens. I'm going to go over some of my art supplies. Predominantly we will do watercolors, and then I might add a little bit of pencil just for a little bit of shadowing or detailing at the end, but mostly it will be watercolor. Okay, so brush, watercolors, and of course water. For my brush, I'm using Princeton Heritage. I've been working on a commission now for a couple of weeks, and there's these 3 brushes that I have been using. I'll show you quickly. So here we go. We've got the round 1, round 3, and a liner in size 2. And I have been really enjoying them because it's a very small, very dainty, detailed work, and so these brushes have been really helpful. Working from my memory, I remember that there was a lovely kind of peach, and I'm going to mix up the peach over there. In fact, let me just do it here somewhere. So peach, and it had a bit of pink in there, so I'd say about there. That's a good one. And then, in case you're wondering what these watercolors are, I haven't done my reveal yet. And the reveal will happen very soon, probably in the next Friday watercolor session. So this is my colorful landscape palette, and basically I have done the reveal in my mushroom class, so if you want to check it out before waiting for it, and you like obviously mushrooms, not just going to look at the palette, but what I mean is you have the benefit of also seeing that palette if you wanted to take this class. The next class I will be filming, and I'm really looking forward to, is actually colorful landscapes, and I was planning to start already, but then this commission came from nowhere. It was not planned, it was very spontaneous. I was approached by a very big brand, and I worked for a commission for them earlier in the year, and I can't reveal anything because it's a new product that's coming out next year. And so it's basically the illustration for the packaging, which is very, very exciting. But because I'm working on the commission now, that's my focus, and so I'm waiting for the commission to be finished. I think we are almost there now, so that I can start working on the next course. Okay, so here I've mixed a couple of colors, a very kind of milky pastel-y color with some pink in there, and I will leave it at that. Here I suppose we can, let's see, I'm going to create some kind of orange mixes. So this is just a wash for now, and to intensify things, if you wanted to do wet into wet, I'm just going to show you how to do that. Just make sure it's still wet, because if it's not going to travel like it did in here. Like that. Okay, and then funny enough, I've been working with a lot of ultramarine for that illustration, and I have really enjoyed ultramarine, but I don't have it in here. The closest to a blue that I have is this color, so I'm going to use that. In fact, I think I should go for a smaller brush, because the tip is no longer sharp here, and I'm struggling to stay within the lines on this size. So this is Mayan Blue, a watercolor that I used to use, or color rather, that I used to use for illustrating boys. This is a great denim color, and overall that has that sort of contemporary look to it. So there you go, bit of blue, maybe like an analogous color palette. So I'm going to do colors that are next to each other on the color wheel, so we're not going to go too far off. And also, let's see, I'm going to add, well, let's see what happens if we add a bit of Mayan Blue. Obviously it should go green, I would imagine. I'm just going to drop some water, see what happens. That's the fun part about working with watercolors. All these lovely blossoms and granulations and pigment separations. To me, that's what gets me excited about and using and painting with watercolors. Okay, so let's drop maybe some pink into one of them, just to bring a little bit of interest. Oh, this is red, hold on. There's a lovely pink here. And the same thing, just a bit of water like that. And what should we do with this one? Let's go for this color. This is Cascade Green. That does definitely some magic. Okay, so far so good. Let's see what we can do with this color. So we need a bit of a pop, don't we? So let me go for something delicious. So this is a nice milky color, and then next to it I'm going to add another chartreuse, which is more juicier. And this one is my chartreuse. Watercolors are still on sale, by the way, so check them out on my website, Alyona Creates. That will, if you see the shop, just click on the shop and that will take you to my Shopify, which, by the way, I've been now using for months and it's been good experience. So maybe I should update you on how that's going, but it's been really, really good so far. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to look back at this color and do a little bit of layering and maybe intensifying. So let's mix up like a dark pink color. There's something here already, so that will do nicely. So what I'm going to do is just on the edge like so, and then washing off my brush, as you can see, and then I'm going to touch it and soften the line. This particular paper, it's not your watercolor paper, so it's not going to be working as beautifully. So the next thing I'm going to do is, this is kind of not fully dry, it's sort of a little bit damp, so just with clean water I'm just going to wet the surface sporadically. Doesn't need to be too precise. Try not to disturb what's already there. And then I'm going to take a pink color and just kind of drop it in, like you remember those dots that we saw. Just looks like it has chicken pox now. The next thing I'm gonna do is take that Mayan blue again and just intensify some of these edges. Like so. And then just pull out, not the edges, the ends, you know what I mean. Okay, and then this one is kind of looking plain, like it needs something. So I'm thinking, let me maybe add some shimmer to it. That could be something. And then I'm just going to pull it out as well. Have light shimmer going over. So at this point I will use a heat tool to just blast it over with some hot air to help it with the drying. But also what I want to do, actually, I just remembered, I was going to create a more interesting composition here. So what I often like to do is, let's just change up a shape and a size and layer some of those bits here. This is when it really becomes quite neat. Do I need a third one? I mean, there's quite a bit of empty in here, so I guess I could create a more rounder shape like so, and then we're going to curve this one up here and have it come out there. There we go. Okay, so I'm going to repeat the pink color addition as I did before. So I'm going to go into the same puddle here and do that. Nice and milky. And then just washing my brush out and pulling the pigment all the way down. Like so. And then perhaps adding slightly more pink. Actually, it needs to be more peach, doesn't it? So let's see what's going to happen. Yeah, this is nice peach. I just added a touch of the orange right there. So remember how it's kind of was going peach until here and then into dark brown, or like almost like a black color. So I will try to do that as well. While this is wet, I'm also going to drop something into it. I'm using this darker color from before. So here's already dry, so I'm going to help it a little bit move. So now let's wait for it to dry.